Hi everyone, Vie Darling here. This is my second time making this video just because there were technical difficulties with the other video. But yeah, so what I wanted to talk about with this video is happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. And it is because today, Tuesday, May the 4th, Mercury is entering Gemini. So Mercury has been in Taurus along with the Sun, Uranus, dark moon Lilith, and Venus. So it's been a 5-planet or a 5-placement stellium in Mercury in Taurus. And then recently we had the full moon in Scorpio. And what does that mean? Well, the full moon in Scorpio, that axis of power that is Taurus and Scorpio is very, very dense. That's what people have to understand. Taurus is earth. So this vibration is very, very, this is actually one of the densest vibrations because it is fixed earth. Both of them are fixed signs. Fixed signs are, I would say, like really dense, really heavy. So when you're dealing with a fixed sign, it's going to be heavy and it's going to be powerful. And you know, when we think about lower densities, people kind of tend to think of those as kind of like, you know, bad. The thing is, they're not actually bad. They're actually extremely powerful. One just needs to know how to wield that power and when to use that fixed energy and when to be mutable and when to be cardinal. None of them are bad. Excess is the issue. When used balanced, it's not a problem. But so the density of Scorpio, one must understand, just as Taurus, fixed earth, is extremely dense, the density of that water sign, Scorpio, is extremely dense as well. That's why we're dealing with so much 3D stuff. So much 3D stuff, it's karmic. Because 3D is like the dimension basically dominated by karma. You know, karma means action, literally. So there's a lot of karma clearing going on. We've spoken about that, especially with Pluto being in Capricorn, where it's actually now retrograde. A lot of that stuff, that shadow that we've been holding on to, that denseness, that karmic debt that we've been holding on to for dear life, because it's like, who am I without all of this stuff, is being expunged right now. It's being freed right now. And it's time, because that's actually like, that freedom can be really scary, but that's actually where the power is like, we get to decide who we are. That broadness of space, that openness of space, that can be really scary for a lot of people. And letting go of the past, letting go of the old narrative can be really scary. So what I came on here to talk about is like, timelines, timeline shifting, timelines, like you talk about it, timeline jumping, timeline shifting, timeline this, then that, and the third. The thing that one must understand is first and foremost, everything happens in consciousness. When there's a consciousness shift, that's not something that you can automatically see. It is understood ideologically before it's felt even. And for it to be, then it must be felt, and then it must be expressed. I talk about this on my Patreon. The link is in my bio if you want to go ahead and follow and know more about what I'm talking about. I talked pretty in depth about it 2 nights ago. So that density carries down from the consciousness all the way down to the 3D. The 3D, the physical realm, is the final frontier is what I call it, because it's the last place that these shifts will happen. The thing is, if you are depending on the 3D to express something to you as a human being, you're really living outside of your power. It means that you're living outside of your body. You're dependent on things outside of you to be able to express things to you, which isn't even logical. Like, that means that you don't even think for yourself. You have to be told. Like, you can't process your physical messages that come into you. You don't understand energy. You're not perceptive. You're really disempowering yourself. I would even say beyond being 3D, that's like some 2D BS right there. You know, I would even say that much. So one need really be in their body to be able to understand and really have a full-bodied perception, a holistic perception that supports your actions, supports your insights, supports your understanding and comprehension of the world in which we live. So when we talk about timeline shifting, the thing to understand is that the universe is expansive. So literally further out in the future, which we can't see, we can't even perceive of what's going on in the universe right now. Everything that you see in the night sky, that's hundreds and thousands of years ago those things happened. That's what we're seeing, is hundreds and thousands of years ago. So when you look at in the night sky, you're seeing all different timelines. You're not seeing what's happening right now, because what's happening right now, we can't even detect that. What we're detecting in space is stuff that happened like eons ago even. Yeah. So in the future, there are more things out there, because the nature of the universe is expansion. So there are more things out there on the edges of the universe that we have absolutely no conception of, if we're like counting on physical perception to be able to inform us as to what's going on out there. And so, higher vibrational stuff exists everywhere, but human conscious and like every point in space, because every point in space at some point will be full. It may not be at this point in time being the fourth dimension, the temporal dimension. Humans exist in 3D and 4D. We exist in the physical, tactile dimensions in that fourth temporal dimension. And so, we may not be at that point in 4D where something exists, but further along the timeline, something will, because something doesn't exist right above my head right now. Now it does. Now it doesn't. Now it does. That's how it works. So when our consciousness is shifting and we're shifting timelines, you can either choose to go to a lower vibrational timeline, or you can go to a higher vibrational timeline. I would say you ought to choose a higher vibrational timeline, because, as I said, the universe is expanding. And I don't really need to get into that so much, but understand that when I say that we're shifting timelines, we're jumping timelines, these are, we're ascending. That's all that there is to it. We're just ascending. That's the nature of our existence. We are ascending. If you are choosing, because yes, it is a choice, if you are choosing to stay locked in lower dimensions of consciousness, and to see things from that perspective, that is you cutting off your source, cutting yourself off from source. That is you cutting yourself off from being empowered fully. That is you drawing that line in the sand, and you are consciously making the decision to stay regressed. And that is why that's painful. And it also means that you can't trust yourself. And so you start having this internal battle where you're being pulled apart, literally being pulled apart, because you're choosing to stay in this energy back here when you're being pulled forward. Now, that's a choice. And your internal self, your ego may want to say, no, I'm not choosing that. But the reality is you are. So if you're starting to feel depression, that anger turned inwards, you don't know what to do with it, you gotta let go. You gotta surrender to the flow of the universe, which you're choosing not to do. That's why you're in pain. It's pulling you, and you are holding on for dear life, white knuckling it. Your fingers are gonna break. You're gonna be dragged, kicking and screaming. Or you could actually have some grace, some self-respect, and some dignity, and go willingly, and ask for some help along the way to get there. You can choose. That's the thing about this realm. It's free will realm. So when I'm saying like we're choosing timelines, you can stay locked in the timeline where the same thing happens over and over and over again. That's hell. The same BS happens. Or you can choose to embody this enlightened, and by that I mean lighter, less dense, lighter density. You can choose a lighter density and go up into that higher density where things feel freer and you don't feel so bogged down. Or you can choose to stay in the lower dimension. And what happens when we choose to embody that lighter consciousness, that enlightened consciousness, we lose things because like things have to be sloughed off. That density has to go down, right? So there's some of us right now who, like, as the timelines are splitting, and some people are choosing to stay in that low vibrational frequency, and some of us are choosing to vibrate higher, get into those like those higher dimensions. We are experiencing loss, which is why a lot of us have been feeling so much grief, so much exhaustion, because grieving is exhausting emotionally, mentally. So much grief, you know, because there is a lot being lost when we are ascending. You can't carry everything with you. And so what that looks like in the 3D realm, in the mundane terms, would be, you know, nouns being lost, connections, relationships ending, being lost, or being transformed, really, because there is no ending ever. There's only transformation. Some of us are choosing to stay in pain. Some of us are choosing to stay in hell. Some of us are choosing to stay there, but we don't have to. And that's an internal thing. And y'all really need to get that. I don't know if I'm making that clear. But we can choose. So we're all experiencing loss. Some of us who are staying in the victimhood mentality and the narcissist victim role and that whole karmic thing that goes. Because both of them are narcissists and both of them are victims at various different points. Those of us who are choosing to stay in that role will be losing the relationships with those of us and those things that are now transforming into higher vibrational entities. We're falling out of alignment, falling out of frequency with one another. Choosing to live in your light or choosing to live outside of it, and like those of us who are stepping into that are also losing relationships that we may care about. So we may be like, good riddance, but a lot of us are going to be like, damn, like that's hard, because that's our shadow work to do. Some of us is saying like, I don't want to lose these things, but I have to honor my truth. Because some of our karma is that we deny our intuition and we deny our truth. And we settle for things beneath us, literally lower vibrations. And that effectively lowers our vibration. But if we're choosing, and we can stay mad at that if we want to, some of us are going to be mad at it. And some of us are still going to choose to continue in that low density. Some of us are going to be angry. And then some of us are going to realize like, yo, that sucks. But it's all love on this side, because that's what I'm choosing is unconditional love. And we can let go gracefully, and we can let go with love and grace and gratitude and peace, you know? And pray that, you know, we don't know what happens in the future. We don't know. But we don't need to worry about that. And we don't need to worry about the past either. All we worry about is like what's going on in the here and now. And so I say that Mercury is in Gemini now. So these are downloads that have been coming in. They've been very dense, but Mercury moving into Gemini has been able to give us some clarification. And Gemini season is going to have a lot of clarification, a lot of information is going to come unto us that is going to help us to understand what the new world is going to be like. We're going to be receiving a lot. It's going to be a lot for everybody, but try and choose gratitude. Do your best to choose gratitude. Do your best to choose grace. Do your best to choose forgiveness, love, peace, all of those higher vibrational 12th dimensional things. Those are the things that we are striving for as humans. Love is the highest vibration. Unconditional love, which is characteristic of the 12th dimension, is the highest vibration that we can achieve. So that's what we want to aim for. That's where we want to anchor ourselves, and that's where we are heading. I love you all truly and deeply, that being said, and I will see you soon. Feel free to subscribe to my Patreon.